الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ومن اتبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, to proceed. So to conclude our discussion of the story Mishyatul Ghurabi, today بإذن ta'ala we will answer the questions that are at the bottom of the page. To begin, therefore, the first question is
أين كان يعيش الغراب؟
أين كان يعيش الغراب؟ أين كان يعيش الغراب? So the meaning of this therefore is
where did the raven used to live?
Good, Ya Muhammad. أين means where, كان يعيش الغراب. Right? Where did the ghurab used to live? So aina is one of those words, or ismons, which is for the purpose of al-istifham, to question, right? So it's commonly used in order to ask a question, and its answer relates to a place, because a question is introduced with aina, where. So to answer, therefore, how are we going to begin, Ya Muhammad?
كان غراب.
Remember, the question is أين كان يعيش الغراب?
يعيش الغراب.
Right, so the answer would be يعيش
الغراب وكان.
Right, but are we going to begin with kana or are we going to begin with يعيش? Because remember, that phrase kana يعيش places it into the
past.
Right, the past. Whereas if you begin with يعيش, it's al-mudari, it's the present.
I think I'd say then Ayasha.
Arsha.
Can I say that?
Right, okay. So we're going to begin therefore with Arsha. And the reason why you selected Arsha, which is the Al-Madi,
that's it.
Arsha, there's no alif on it, it's Arsha. Arsha is he lived. It's the past, Al-Madi, of Yaishu. Okay, so Arsha is he lived. How would we say I lived? Ishtu. Remember, because the middle letter of this fi'l is an alif, which is considered to be a naqis, weak, right? Or al-mu'attal, then its conjugation is different. So we say ishtu. So ishtu is I lived, therefore ishta must be
you lived.
You lived, and you lived single female is Ishti, and we lived Ishna, good, right. Arsha
al-Ghurab.
Arsha al-Ghurabu. Right, why did you place a dhammah upon the ba? Or why is al-Ghurabu madmuma? Because it's the fa'ilun, and the fa'ilun is always marfu'un. Right. Arsha al-Ghurabu
في الشجرة.
في
الشجرة.
الشجرة تي شجرة تي. Right, and that's correct. Because indeed al-Ghurabu did live in the tree. Right? Or you could say fi shajaratin, in a tree. But the point to note here is that it's a jumlatul fi'liyatu, beginning with the fi'lun, and then we have the fa'ilun, right? And the maf'ulun bihi is fi shajarati. So, the other way of phrasing this would be to use what?
Kana.
Kana. But if we're going to use kana, we're not going to say asha. Although grammatically it would still be correct.
So would you say kana gurabu ya'ishu fi shajarati?
Right. We would say kana ya'ishu al-gurabu. We would use the words in the question to formulate your response. Kana ya'ishu al-gurabu. Right? Kana ya'ishu al-gurabu.
Fi shajarati.
Fi shajarati. So, if we wanted to, as I mentioned previously, we need to be able to alter the sentence in order to convey different meaning, but using the same type of expression or construct. So if we wanted to say, therefore, I used to live in a house, we would say,
I used to ship to.
Ishtu.
I used to
Live.
That's I lived. Fil baiti.
Ishtu fi baytin. It would be Ishtu.
I'm confused.
Ishtu fi baytin. Okay. Fi baytin. Ishtu fi baytin. Similarly, if wanted to say you lived in a palace, we would say
Ishta fil.
Ishta fi qasrin.
Qasrin.
Ishta fi qasrin. You lived in a palace. Qasrin. If we wanted to say a king used to live in a palace, we would say
Asha
Asha
Malikun.
Malakun. Sorry, Malikun. Malakun is an angel. Malikun.
Malikun fi. Was it palace? Qasrin.
Right. Asha Malikun fi qasrin. Right. If you wanted to say a queen lived in a palace, we would say
Malikatun.
how would we begin the sentence?
So it would be Ish Ashat
Ashat
Malikatun.
Malikatun
In a palace, yeah? Fi Qasrin.
Malikatun Ashat Malikatun fi
Qasrin.
qasrin. Qasrin. Ashat Malikatun fi qasrin. Right? But now, can you see, we had to alter Asha to make it Ashat Malikatun fi qasrin. Good. So we've altered our original sentence by changing the form of the fi'l Asha by altering the fa'ilun and also this ismun, ash-shajara. Right? But similarly, if the question was Aina kana yakulu al-waladu, right? If that was the question, Aina kana yakulu al-waladu, أين كان يأكل الولد?
Where did the boy used to eat?
Right. Where did the boy used to eat? Can you see how that sentence is very similar to this one?
Yeah.
The form is the same, right?
Yeah.
Or the style. But we just substituted يعيش في يأكل. هذا الغراب for الولد. So to answer that question we would say,
Can I say anything? Akala.
right, if we wanted to use kana,
أو كان يأكل في البيت.
كان يأكل كان يأكل.
Do you have to mention the boy or is it known?
No, you don't have to mention the boy.
Okay.
Can't, but for a complete sentence, كان يأكل.
في البيت. Or
But if we mention the fa'il, كان يأكل الولد
في البيت.
في البيت. بيتي. Right? كان يأكل الولد في البيت. If we wanted to say the boy used to eat in his house, we would say في
في البيت.
we don't, if we're going to attach a pronoun, we don't use al.
بيتي.
في بيته. Because it's مجرور now. Because of the حرف جر. Right? كان يأكل الولد في بيته. Right? If I wanted to say that the boy used to eat in his father's house. كان يأكل الولد في بيته.
So you would say obviously.
So our construct now, his father's house is going to be an idafatun. And therefore في بيت.
It's going to be who? Sorry, he, and then you write ba.
Now how do we say
No, ba.
his father's house?
The father would come.
No, the house comes first,
Yeah.
bait. Then we need,
Abin.
it's going to be
Abin.
majrur, abi,
Abi with the ya.
abi, and then we need his. Fi bayti abihi. Kana yakulu.
The house, you had it on the.
Sorry?
Oh no, because I thought the how was going to go on the Beiti. Beiti, he. And then it's going to be Abi.
No, the bait is the mudafun. Abi is the mudafun ilayhi, and then we attach the damir muttasilun, he to it.
So does that always go on the Idafu Layhi?
Yes, it always goes on the mudafun ilayhi. You can't attach it to the bait. Right? So the meaning is kana yakulu al-waladu fi bayti abihi. The boy used to eat in his father's house. Right? So it's very important to, in your own mind, challenge yourself to form different sentences based upon what you know to be correct with certainty. Like here. Right? So that is our first question. Right, the second question is, Ya Muhammad,
ماذا رأي
ماذا رأى الغراب
تحت الشجرة.
Right, ماذا رأى الغراب تحت شجرة تي. Right, ماذا رأى الغراب تحت الشجرة. ماذا رأى الغراب تحت الشجرة, meaning
What did the raven see under the tree?
right, good. ماذا رأى الغراب, what the ghurab saw تحت الشجرة. So the fa'ilun is al-ghurab, right? Ra'a is fi'l al-madi, تحت الشجرة is our shibh al-jumlati, comprising of تحت and الشجرة, right? تحت الشجرة, that's an idafa. Okay. So, how would we respond to this question? How are we going to begin? Well, we could begin with another, but it's not necessary. There's an easier way to respond by using the words in the question. Ra'a. Right, so this verb ra'a, it means he saw. She saw is ra'at. I saw is ra'aytu. Right, ra'aytu, I saw. You saw single male. Ra'ayta, we saw. Ra'ayna. You saw plural male. Ra'aytum, you saw plural female. Ra'aytun. Okay. So remember the correct conjugation for that verb, because it's very important.
It gets harder when there's a weakness.
Yes, but not that much more difficult once you've learned how to do it once. Right. ماذا رأى الغراب تحت الشجرة? We begin with رأى. رأى الغراب
I would say I'm partridge in it. الحجالة.
Right. Hajala. Right, what do we place upon the ta marabuta?
Mansubun.
Right, it's going to be mansubun. Why is al-hajala ta going to be mansubun?
It's the subject.
It's not the subject. The subject is al-ghurabu. The fa'ilun is al-ghurabu.
What's the maf'ul bihi in English then?
Object.
Object is object, not.
But you don't need to say object.
Yeah,
just say it's the maf'ulun bihi, and the maf'ulun bihi is always mansubun. So ra'a al-ghurabu al-hajalata. Right? Ra'a al-ghurabu al-hajalata. And then to complete the sentence, we would say tahta shajarati. Okay? Ra'a al-ghurabu al-hajalata. And we say tahta shajarati. Okay? So, Ra'a al-ghurabu al-hajalata tahta shajarati answers the question. But if we wanted to modify the question, or rather the answer, and we wanted to say, I saw the boy, right? I saw the boy in the room. How would we say that?
Ra'aytu.
Right. Ra'aytu. Ra'aytu.
Al-waladu.
You've made al-waladu. What have you done to al-waladu? Ra'aytu al-waladu.
I've made it marfu'an.
Marfu'un. When al-waladu must be mansubun. Why?
Because the ra'aytu is fi'lan and maf'ul fa'il. So
because, right, Okay, so we have رأيت, which is a fi'lun and the fa'ilun with the ta, the dhammah,
Yeah.
and al-waladu must therefore be
الولد الولد
al-wala,
ده
al-walada. رأيت al-walada, because it's the maf'ulun bihi, and the maf'ulun bihi is always
منصوب
mansuban. رأيت al-walada.
في الغرفة.
Right. Fil غرفتي. رأيت الولد في الغرفة. Okay. If I asked you to translate, I saw the student with the teacher, how would you say that?
So رأيت
رأيت
الطالب
طالبة
مع
الطالبة. Right, you have two choices now, ma'a or inda. Inda is preferable in this context. Inda is ظرف المكاني. So it specifies a location. عند رأيت الطالبة عند
المعلم. It wouldn't be me, would it?
معلم. Remember I said that عند is ظرف المكاني. And if عند is ظرف المكاني and is followed by an ismun, then that construct becomes an idafa. And therefore al-muallim becomes al-muallimi. Right. رأيت الطالبة عند المعلم. Right? That clear?
No.
If we wanted to say we saw the students with the teacher, we would say
رأينا الطالب.
the students, and you made it marfu'un.
Oh.
رأينا الطلاب. Not bu ya Muhammad, it's called, you're making it marfu'un when it's a maf'ulun bihi.
الطلاب
الطلاب. رأينا الطلاب عند المعلم. I saw the car in the street.
So رأيت
رأيت,
الشجرة.
that's the tree.
Oh no. سيارة
السيارة في الشارع. في الشارع. رأيت السيارة في الشارع. Right? So it's important always to think about how to form these other sentences. So, number 3 therefore. The 3 is
هل قدر الغراب
هل قدر الغراب
يمشي.
أن يمشي.
Oh yeah, sorry. أن يمشي.
أن يمشي مثل الحجلة. T. Right, that's the question. هل قدر الغراب أن يمشي مثل الحجلة؟ Right, so we begin with hal, which is another ismul istifham. questioning. Right? Whenever we begin with hal, it's a question. Remember, the other way that we can introduce it is with a. Right? هل قدر فعل الماضي meaning
he wasn't
no
it's past, so he
able.
he was able.
He was able. قدر means he was able. Right? Don't confuse قدر with قدر. قدر and قدر with a shadda upon the dal. Because قدر, it relates to the decree. Right? What Allah Azza wa Jalla alone has control over. Decreeing matters. So هل قدر and then الغراب is مرفوع because سفائل أن يمشي مثل الحجلة. Right? مثل like الحجلة. And remember that مثل render is part of an idafa construct that renders الحجلة مجرور. Right? So the response is how are we going to begin?
Lan. What? Does it mean
Lan is used to negate what?
In the future, I think, or the past?
No, it's used to negate al-fi'l al-mudari in the future.
Okay, so it's lam.
Right. So we're going to begin with lam.
So
And then?
Qadara.
Right, but lam negates, remember, al-fi'l al-mudari, not al-madi. We don't negate al-madi with a lam.
So it's yaqdaru.
Lam.
Yaqdaru.
Yaqdiru. Except that's not correct, is it? Because the lam is from adatul jazmi, which renders it
yaqdir.
majzumun. It renders it majzumun, so it becomes lam yaqdir. Lam yaqdir al-ghurabu
an yamshiya
مثل الحجلة جلتي. Right. لم يقدر الغراب أن يمشي مثل الحجلة. Correct. Of course, if we wanted to use qadara and we wanted to negate qadara, we would say no. How do we negate qadara? Simple past tense verb. Ma. So we'd say ma qadara al-ghurabu, etc. Ma qadara al-ghurabu.
Can you say la or you can't say la?
No, la is for the present. Okay. Ma qadara al-ghurabu. Okay. Now, the other point to note here is it's a verb qadara. In these stories in particular, and generally, he was able, there are a number of other verbs which are used. For example, istata'a. Istata'a. Right? And that's used in several instances in Surah Al-Kahf. فَمَا اسْطَاءُوا أَن يَظْهَرُوهُ وَمَا اسْتَطَاعُوا لَهُ نَقَبًا. That verb is used, istata'a. Right? The statement of Khadr to Musa alayhim as-salam, إِنَّكَ لَن, he said, إِنَّكَ لَن تَسْتَطِيعَ مَعِيَ صَبَرًا. When he asked, هل أتبعك على أن تعلمني مما علمت رشدا, can I follow you in order that you can teach me what you have been taught? He said, إنك لن.
Future.
Yes, good. إنك لن تستطيع.
Yes.
Right, present tense, you able, but he negated it with a lan. إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا. Right, so it's important to remember that when you're reading Al-Quran, to start to identify the words and the constructs. The other one that's also used frequently in these stories is tamakkana. Tamakkana. Min. And then what you'll find is certain verbs that require min or ila in order to complete the meaning. So tamakkana min means he was able to. I know that says min and we understand min to mean from, but it means he was able to. To do whatever, something, right? So we have three verbs, three af'al. Qadara, istata'a, and tamakkana. All of them give this meaning of he was able to do something, right? And they're all negated with either ma in the past or la or ma in al-mudari, lam in al-mudari, and lan in al-mudari. Right, here Muhammad?
No.
Right. So the next question, therefore, and I think that's in section ba, right? And in section ba, the questions are slightly more difficult, but only slightly. So number one is ماذا أراد الغراب أن يفعل. Remember that أن renders it منصوب. أن يفعل عندما رأى الحجلة عندما رأى الحجلة. No, Ya Muhammad, that's the third time you've made the same mistake. Ra'a, he saw.
He saw, so it's ta.
Ta, al-hajalata. عندما رأى الحجلة تمشي. تمشي. Right, this is a good question. ماذا أراد الغراب أن يفعل عندما رأى الحجلة تمشي? First of all, what does it mean?
What? I saw. الغراب
ماذا أراد? I saw. What does أراد mean? أراد is a very common verb.
No idea.
We did this in our previous lesson. In fact, it's in the story. أراد, he wanted. Ya Muhammad, that verb, it's very important that you remember. أراد, أريد.
It had a ya there before.
يريد is the third person. ماذا أراد?
What did the raven want?
أن يفعل.
To do?
Good. I like that. ماذا أراد الغراب أن يفعل عندما means when. عندما رأى
When he saw
الحجلة تمشي.
the raven
Walking.
walking.
Right. So how are we going to respond to this question? How are we going to begin?
Or can you start with the word inda? When the raven saw.
Yeah, you can, but it's easier surely to begin with arada. No? Arada al-ghurab. I mean, most students tend to begin with arada.
Arada, let's start with that then.
Right? Arada. And then?
Arada al-ghurab.
Ya Muhammad.
Al-ghurabu.
Don't make the fa'ilun the mafulun bihi. Arada al-ghurabu. Now, this is the bit now at this point where most students make a mistake. Because what they do is they say, well, arada al-ghurabu an yaf'ala.
I was going to say mathala.
But it's not, we don't say an yaf'ala. Because if we say arada al-ghurabu an yaf'ala, it means, what does it mean?
He wanted, the raven wanted to do.
Right, but we don't want to say that now, do we? What we want to say is what he wanted to do. Not that the raven wanted to do and then what he wanted to do. We don't need to say to do here. We just need to say what he wanted to do.
Masha.
Arada al-ghurabu.
Masha or mathala.
An.
Walk.
Right, present tense he walks.
Present tense he walks is damshi.
He walks. An.
He walks
Yamshu.
oh yeah, that's
Shia. Remember that's mansubun because of an. Arada al-ghurabu an yamshiya
مثل
mithla. Right. Mithla
الحجلة
hajalati عندما رأى الحجلة تمشي. We don't need to. Well, we can do عندما رأى الحجلة تمشي. And that's the answer. أراد الغراب أن يمشي مثل الحجلة عندما رأى الحجلة تمشي. Now, the reason why you were confused is because you wanted at this point to say masha, didn't you?
Yeah.
Right. But can you see how that wouldn't be correct? Because
You have to refer it back to
No. Arada al-ghurabu. Right? Whenever we begin a sentence with the fi'l al-madi, like this, arada, okay? Like, for example, a simple example of this is to say, I wanted to go to my house. Okay? If you want to say, I wanted to go to my house, which is the same as this, he wanted to walk, right? How do we say it? Aradtu. Aradtu is I wanted. Okay? Aradtu, then I connect. I have to use an to connect this verb, aradtu, with go. But which go do I use? Do I use dhahabtu, which means I went? Or do I use adhabu, which means I go? The present. So, aradtu, I wanted, right? That's what aradtu means.
Yeah.
It's the past tense of I want, or past tense of I want, present, right? I wanted. Aradtu. And you'll get used to this. It's a particular type of expression. Aradtu an.
I would say adhabu.
Yeah, you don't use an with the past tense.
Okay.
You're not going to say aradtu an dhahabtu. Okay? Ila bayti. Okay? Bayti. Aradtu an dhahabtu ila bayti.
So grammatically that's wrong, yeah?
Yes. Okay. Aradtu an dhahabtu ila bayti. It doesn't make sense. You're saying I wanted to, I go. Sorry, I went. I wanted to, I went to my house. If it was just this bit here, dhahabtu ila bayti, that's correct. But if you're going to use aradtu an, or if you're going to begin with the past tense aradtu, and then you're talking about something that you wanted to do, right? What in effect you're talking about the future, aren't you?
Yeah.
Are you not? I wanted to go. So it's like you go into the past with I wanted, and now you're talking about something either in the present or the future. So you have to say aradtu an adhaba, because of an. Aradtu an adhaba ila bayti. Right? Aradtu an adhaba ila bayti. So that's why you cannot say masha here. You understand? As you wanted to say. You want to say arada al-ghurabu masha مثل الحجلة.
Sure. Notice it from the question, innit? And yaf'al.
Yes, I mean the question usually is a good indicator of how to phrase the answer. Right? But again, this part here, the answer, it's very important. It's a very important construct which we will be using all the time. And if you want to learn how to speak and perfect your speech, you have to become accustomed to phrasing your sentences in this fashion. And in fact, in the app, which you can't because you're the only person that I know of here, Muhammad, who has a Windows mobile. But in the app, this is how this construct is used frequently because it's so common. Right? So, we have some time to complete with, it's only the second one, right? How many are in section but 2?
One more.
Right. The second one's good too. So, The second one is
لماذا
لماذا. لماذا means
why
why. Right. لماذا.
مشيت
No.
مشيا
مشي. لماذا مشي. مشيت
الغرابة
يا محمد مشيت what type of construct is this?
It's a question.
No, this مشيت الغراب.
مشيت is he walked, yes?
No, that's not he walked, that's a mashya. You're confusing the verb with the ism.
So it's walking.
Walk, the
So
walk.
it's a noun, so it's going to be الغراب.
No, it's an idafa. Just like in the title, Mishyatul Ghurabi. The title is Mishyatul Ghurabi. لماذا Mishyatul Ghurabi
أب ألف باء. It says ألف باء.
لماذا مشية الغراب أقبه مشية في الطيور. أقبه مشية في الطيور. Right. لماذا مشية الغراب أقبه مشية في الطيور. What does the sentence mean, or the question?
Why the walk?
Why is
The walk of the raven
the walk of the raven,
become ugly? Or became ugly?
is the ugliest,
It's the ugliest
مشية,
Walk.
another idafa, ugliest walk,
amongst the birds.
في الطيور. In the birds or amongst the birds. Right. So, to answer this question, this is a good question because
Go back to the story.
there's a number of different ways that we can answer this question. How would we answer? How are we going to begin?
مشيته.
Right. Mishyatul Ghurabi. Right? Always use what we have available in the question. Mishyatul Ghurabi. And then
أكبر.
Aqbahu. Aqbahu
مشيته.
مشية
Would you say في
في الطيور.
الطيور?
Right, that was the easy bit.
How would you say because?
لأن. Good, I like that, Muhammad. لأن. Right, but when we use لأن, we have to attach a damir muttasil, an attached pronoun that refers back to our subject.
So we could.
لأن, what are we talking about?
غراب.
No, we're not talking about al-ghurab, are we? The walk. So which damir muttasil we're going to use in order to refer back to mishya?
مشيته.
No. لأن, we need a single damir muttasil here that refers back to mishyatun. لأن.
ها.
لأنها. لأنها
لأنها فلا
لأنها
فلا
right, we don't need the fa. لأنها
لا
لا هي
لا هي مشية
لأنها لا هي. Yeah, we can say لأنها لا هي لا هي لا هي
مشية
غرابي ولا
مشية الغراب
لأنها لا هي مشية الغراب ولا مشية
الحجلة
الحجلة. Right, that's one way of answering the question. مشية الغراب, the walk of the غراب, أقبح مشية is the most ugly walk في الطيور amongst the birds. لأنها, because it, لا هي, so we're negating the here, right, which is the مشية, right, you follow?
Yeah.
لأنها لا هي مشية الغراب ولا and not مشية الحجلة. Now, the point to note here is that on the first mishya to here we have a dhamma, it's madmuma. On here we have a fatha, it's maftuha. And the reason being is because of the la. But that's a separate rule. We'll do that later.
You but either as well, I reckon. Between the lian after that, or neither.
Neither? No, we don't need to put neither, right? But that's correct. I mean, it may not necessarily be the best way of answering the question, but you're certainly communicating the message, right? لأنها لا هي. The other way of answering this would, at this point, to use ليست. لأنها ليست. Remember ليست. Yes. ليست.
Why is it laysa? So
because laysa is a verb. Right? Laysa is a verb. And what is it that we're negating?
The walk.
The walk. And the walk is?
Female.
Female. So we can't use a laysa. We have to use a laysat. Laysat. لأنها ليست هي ليست هي مشية الغراب ولا مشية الحجلة. Remember with ليس you have اسم ليس and خبر ليس. So our اسم ليس would be here. ليست هي. Yep. ليست هي. And so that's the اسم ليس. And our خبر ليس would be مشية مشية الغراب ولا مشية الحجلة. Right? It would be an idafa. But this bit is what is the khabaru laysa, the mishya in both instances, and therefore it would be maftuhun. It would be mansubun. I say maftuha, it means it has a fath on it. Right? But the khabaru laysa, remember, is mansubun.
So is it like a kana laysa? Is it like follow the same rules?
Yes. Yes. In fact, it's from that category. Right?
So kana sara
Sara, kana, asbaha. So the other way that we could answer this question is we could begin with asbaha, became. Remember, you mentioned at the beginning, we could say أصبح مشية الغراب أقبح, just like in the story.
Yeah.
Right? In the story, it mentions وصارت مشيته أقبح مشية في الطيور. But instead of using صارت, or we could use صارت, in fact that would be أصبحت, not أصبح, أصبحت مشية الغراب أقبح مشية في الطيور لأنها. Okay? Right, we shall conclude. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.